The following podcast contains explicit language and content that may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, welcome to the Get Spooky podcast, where two funny dudes share paranormal stuff, true crime, and other scary things from around the world. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Andres, and sorry, I got really excited just now.
And welcome to episode 104.
I'm glad you're keeping track because I'm not. I stopped putting it on my notes, too.
I actually guessed.
Oh, well, this might not be episode 104. So,
That's okay.
Before we get too far into it, I would like to remind everyone that we have, if you go to our Instagram, in the bio, we have a link to all my links. And the first few resources we have on there is what to do if ICE shows up at your place of employment, your house, if you're out, in Spanish and English, and a couple of immigration resources that you can donate to that'll help undocumented people that have been detained by ICE. Also towards the bottom, we have our links to support Palestine, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So what has been going on since the last time we recorded?
I have 1 week left, and my 8-week economics class has been beating my ass this whole time. So I'm super excited. Actually, I know people don't want to hear about my classwork or whatever, but I wanted to note that I had worked previously as a banker in Oklahoma City, and then I also worked in payroll tax or payroll, a company that does payroll. And the sections the last couple of weeks have been payroll tax, Social Security, Medicare, tax,
just stuff that you learned
wages
at work.
Yes, and then this week has been banking, Federal Reserve, and I'm just like, I haven't even read the chapters, and I did so well on the homework and the test.
Yeah.
No reading, flew through.
That's funny how that happens where you go into the workforce,
Yeah,
and then you eventually go back to school, and you your framing of mind, or your mind, or the way you think changes.
Yep.
Where things aren't seen as difficult.
Yeah.
And I think we've mentioned before about being an adult going back to school. It's sometimes it's a different type of stress. Because you know so much more, being in the workforce, you're able to manage things a lot better. So I think that was one of those examples, because you did let me know that you're this is about banking stuff, and I only got one wrong on the quiz.
Yeah, I was
that's
on the
funny.
Practice quiz for no points. I was I did really well. I'm I feel confident. I'm about to take the quiz. We'll see what happens. There is something that I worry about that now, though, that I never thought that in my life that I would have to worry about. Again, not to brag, I'm doing very well in this class. So I have I think I have over full points in this class because of a bonus that I did at the very beginning. And so now my grade is over the highest grade you can, I guess, the A. I'm A plus or something like that. But something that that I'm having to worry about is doing too well in a class. And what do I mean by that? Well, professors start thinking that you're using AI to do your homework. So this has literally happened a couple of times. Either you do your quiz really, really fast, or your homework gets done really, really fast, and they start to ask you questions. It usually takes you 15 minutes or 20 minutes on a homework in the past. Why is it only taking you 10 minutes to do this? Or historically, it's taking you 27 minutes to do stuff, to do a quiz, Why did this quiz only take you like 15 minutes, 17 minutes? And nobody's asked me that, but there have been classmates that I've gone to class with that do get questioned. And it's like, I don't think anybody ever expected to have to live in a world where you get questioned about being too good, that people think that you're using AI. And I don't doubt that there are students that just go through, I mean, like I told you about, you know who, the other day in my class.
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't doubt that there are people that like are doing that disservice to themselves, that they're using AI to answer questions. Um, you shouldn't be using AI anyways, right?
Mhm.
But like if you're going to use use AI responsibly to supplement and not to replace.
Yes.
So,
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of like reels or TikToks about that topic. One of them that kind of stuck with me was it was two guys, and it was like a little skit type of
mhm.
reel, but it was like, "Hey, what's 6 times 7 or something?" And the other guy was like, let me check." And he takes out his phone and he's like, "Why are you taking out your phone? Just do the math." And he's like, "No, but I just want to be sure." It's like, "Okay, well, do the math first and then you can double
You can
check your
check.
word."
Yeah.
Yeah, or your work. And he was
There's
like,
no
"Oh,
rush right now.
okay."
You don't need the answer right now.
Yeah.
So take your time, do the work, and then double check yourself.
So he ended up like doing the math in his head. And he's like, "Oh, it's 42." And he's like, "Yeah. No, that's correct." And then he said, "Hey, by the way, what phone number do you know, like, by heart?" And I guess the guy was like, "I don't know. I guess like no one's." And it's like in the 90s, for example, you had to memorize like the
Mm-hmm.
90s, early 2000s, you had to memorize phone numbers. But sometimes like what we gain in convenience, we lose in critical thinking sometimes, or like
Mm-hmm.
the that skill of having like a sharper memory. Another video I saw, and it was recent, and I just didn't write it down, of like who made it. It's she's an instructor, and she was saying that a lot of children in school are now relying on a lot of AI to make decisions for them, as if like they can't make a decision for themselves. So they're like, "Hey AI, what should I have for lunch today?" Things like that. When they're like,
Yeah.
or another one was, "I don't really have anything planned." She was saying that she didn't have anything planned for that day, so she's like, "It's gonna be a free day." I was gonna give the kids like a free day, but I wanted to like test them and be like, what do you guys feel like you should do to earn a free day? And she saw a little kid take out his phone and say, "Hey, what do I do to earn a free day?" But because AI only gives you the information in the context that it knows, it didn't know it was a student in a like, in school.
Right.
So the AI was just spitting out like AI slop. And I'm like, dude, I I'll replace AI. You can just ask me anything.
Yeah.
I'll
Unfortunately, like
I'll spread misinformation for free.
unfortunately, like we're against using AI, right? But there are people that are gonna use AI regardless because they don't care.
Hmm.
And if you're gonna use AI regardless if you don't care, it's like at least use it responsibly, is what I'm trying to
Hmm.
say. Like use it responsibly. Instead of saying, give me the answer to this question, try to figure out the question. And if you can't figure it out, say, can you teach me how to solve this? And can you give me other questions just like this? Because obviously there's something here that I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
Or can you explain this in a different way?
Yeah, I think it is a little concerning relying too much on technology.
Mm-hmm.
For what I mentioned earlier about having that sharper ability for retaining information, for your memory, for critical thinking, um, but also because we don't know what information we're getting. Like none of it is really fact check. AI isn't meant to give you the truth. It's meant to summarize information. So if you're asking it something, it's not fact checking itself. It's just letting you know what you want to hear. So,
Is it, doesn't it use, like, I heard that AI is just like the repository of the internet poured into it. And so when you ask it a question, it literally looks to see what the most, I guess, popular answer or version of that question and the answer to it. So it's
yep,
like if the most popular answer is misinformation, it's going to give you misinformation as the answer for that.
yep.
So,
And I think
but
especially now that is a very dangerous concept
yeah.
because we shouldn't be relying on what the internet tells us. And I
Exactly.
hate being like a do your own research type of person, but it's
Or
like
old man yelling at cloud.
that's
The old
literally
man
how
yelling
I
at cloud
feel.
meme. I would have never expected myself to
Yeah.
be like, oh, be wary of technology, but then like this novelty of AI has come out and been very popular in the and like recently the last few years, and just a lot of the things that are happening or like what is replacing, it's like concerning.
Yeah.
So
I don't rely on technology. I get my information from the spirits of the forest. They whisper to me at night.
that explains a lot.
The answer is always an acorn. Like I'm
Oh
just
my
kidding.
gosh.
An acorn. A acorn.
Acorn,
A
not
acorn.
Anne,
Yeah.
not Anne.
A
It
acorn.
acorn.
Um. Well, anyway, that spiraled.
It
What
really
else
did.
has
I
been?
wasn't expecting that was going to be the conversation. I'm turning 35.
Oh yeah, this is Andres' last episode where he's 34.
This is going to be my last episode of being 34. And I was saying earlier, 35, and what do I have to show for it? I don't even own a house.
Girl, stop. Because I think now more than ever, I feel like we have seen that pressure put on us from like other people when they're like, oh, someone my age is like, this quote unquote successful and they have this and I don't, or they work towards this and I don't. It's like, girl, that doesn't matter
Well,
anymore.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. It led me to start thinking, like when I said that earlier,
Yeah.
to exactly that. Like, why am I pressuring myself? And why am I saying that about myself right now? The economy, this country is not in a position to where I can readily purchase a house when someone my age would have already had a house 20 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like we don't live in that world anymore, and I don't think a lot of people understand that you have to be very privileged and just have a certain set of situation to where it's easy for you to purchase a house.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of people in our age range do not own a house. A lot
yeah.
of people in our age range are just trying to stay afloat. And even then, I feel like a lot of people even older than us are in a different situation. I think a lot of us are just, trying to stay afloat,
Yeah.
and owning a house or, meeting these milestones that other people or like society has put onto us don't really matter because it's like, dude, just live your life.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you know what? Like, kind of like to continue the conversation about the house thing.
mhm.
I've been asking around to everybody that we kind of know that's a little older or like that have just purchased a house. And I feel like it's not as scary as we think it is because it's like we're worried about like, do we have enough down payment? Is our credit good enough and stuff like that? And after asking around, it's like, oh, somebody only gave like a $10,000 down payment. Somebody only gave 5,000. Somebody only gave 15. Like
Yeah.
they, I guess like in my mind, I'm like, damn, I have to have 20% of the value of the house, which is going to be like 60K, 70K, or however much. And it's like, who the has that in a bank account just lying around,
Yeah.
ready to go? And so it's like maybe things aren't as scary as we think, and we need to be a little more informed about things around us like that. So
That's true. No, I'm the same way. I'm just like, no, I can't even look at a house until I have 70,000 in my bank account. Like, I'm never gonna own that. Sorry.
yeah,
Like at that point, I might as well just like, I don't know,
yeah.
buy two houses. I
What
don't know.
other thing am I afraid of by turning 35? Let's see. This is going to turn into like, what am I afraid of now
What am
that
I
I'm
afraid
turning
of?
35? I'm afraid of my health maybe not being the best and going like closer to my 40s. And it's like, now that I've gone back to school and I do homework, it's like before I would actually go to the gym or try to like eat better or like eat the best that I can. But like recently, it's like I've been trying to, or like just dedicate my extra time that I have to actually work on my classwork and do homework. And then sometimes I don't get home till late after class. And it's like, so I have to eat the fastest thing. So also trying to balance that with everything. It's like, I'm a little concerned about that. And maybe just timeline, building things up.
Yeah.
I guess things that I'm excited for when turning 35 is seeing what brand new exciting things are going to happen after I turn 35 this next year. Since my birthday has always been in March, it's like springtime always starts after my birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, what is this new year gonna bring me for my birthday? So it's like, it's just been kind of a fun thing that I've always thought about, that my
Yeah.
birthday's in the spring, so I get to see, like, for my birthday I get the gift of a brand
The
new,
new year,
the
the
start
new
of a new year,
season.
a new season.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think I was watching a I get on Reels a lot for some reason now, but there was a lot of people talking about, or the ones that I've seen about like Chinese morning exercises,
Mm-hmm.
like just like getting up and like stretching. And I feel like the people that have started doing that, they have noticed like overall like better energy throughout the day. They're
Mm-hmm.
like it keep being consistent like keeps you feeling healthier. And I feel like in the US, like we're not really healthy as we should be. Um, so it's like, yeah, we're getting older, but it's like there's stuff to do, like, you know, to be preventative and stuff. So we gotta just exercise more.
Yeah.
I will say, when I turned 30, I was a little depressed, and one of my former coworkers, her name is Chris. I remember she messaged, or what was it? She commented on one of my Instagram posts, and she said, uh, you know, in your 20s, and this isn't the first time I've heard of this because I've heard it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But she said being in your 20s is like you should be making mistakes and, you know, growing up. Like it's the decade where you're allowed to make mistakes
Have fun.
and have
Do.
fun and mess up and, you know, grow and learn from your mistakes. Your 30s it can actually like realize and grow into who you are. And I think I didn't realize it because I'm 32. I didn't realize it until recently where I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because I feel like the person I was in my 20s is not the same person I am in my 30s. So do you feel like that too?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that too. I feel like I am more confident in my 30s with
Mm-hmm.
my ability, my professional abilities and my personal abilities. And it's like, for a long time, you're always taught to like kind of stay humble. And even if you're good at something, not to act like you're good at something. And it's like, I'm not, now in my 30s, I'm not bragging. But when somebody gives me a compliment or something, I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. Instead of saying,
Yeah,
oh no, like I don't do that. It's like,
that's true.
you're giving me a compliment for a reason. And I'm just, you know what I'm going to do? Just take it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue with you. Thank you for you didn't have to give me a compliment. You did. Thank you.
I see that. I think that's just a carryover from being like growing up in a Mexican household
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, you shouldn't be bragging.
Oh, es presumido. Es
Yeah,
presumido. So,
I see that though. Because I
yeah.
feel kind of the same way where it's like, maybe I just, the way I saw it, it's like maybe I just don't have enough mental strength to, to be like, oh no, no. Like, you know, just try to like humble yourself. But it's like,
Yeah.
keep it going. Just keep it going and say thank you and keep it going.
Also, I think it helps that like we've worked at so many different places with so many different like people in different walks of life.
Hmm.
And this is going to sound terrible, but there are some people that are idiots
Yeah.
that are in higher positions that really don't deserve it. And so it's like, I'm not as bad as I thought I was, if that makes any sense. Like when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, you were like, I thought I was this terrible employer, this terrible person that did this, and that, or I made this mistake. But then you're seeing what other people are doing, you're like, oh, I'm actually not that bad. And so
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, it gives you more confidence and be like, well, I could be this person in that position that totally messed this up, which people make mistakes. I
Yeah.
get that. But it's like, I'm talking about people that consistently are doing the wrong thing.
No, I get that. And it
So,
sucks like comparing yourself to other people, but at the same time it's like there are some people that have never met accountability and they're like, "Girl, you're just like."
accountability try to meet you, but you run faster.
Yeah.
I've heard that about what is it called? Intelligence. Intelligence is chasing you, but you run faster.
I've heard that about homosexuality.
Oh my gosh.
Like, "Mama, homosexuality behind you."
Oh god, bisexuality behind
Oh,
you.
oh no, that's straight men be like, "I'm fighting demons."
I'm fighting inner demons.
And the demons are just bisexuality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. Okay, anyways, are you ready to get into the case?
Yeah, we should jump into the case now.
Okay, so today I wanted to talk about Kenny Mireya Finol and really the Zona Diva murders. Have you ever heard of this before?
No.
Okay, so it's super interesting. Before we begin, though, I want to note that this episode contains a lot of discussion of femicide, sexual violence, torture, domestic abuse, and graphic assault. If any of these trigger you, this it's probably to just skip out this episode and just go straight to the palate cleanser at the end. So, and we'll see you on the next episode. I apologize, but I felt like it was really important to talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
This may be a heavy topic, but it's an important one to
Yeah,
address.
exactly.
Because
So,
I've never heard of this, so I feel like it may be one of those cases that's like maybe didn't get enough attention.
right, yep. So, between 2017 and 2018, a series of murders happened in Mexico City. It started raising serious concerns about violence against migrant women to Mexico who were working there through online escort platforms, which is supposedly it's supposed to be more safe. Like you work through an agency, it's a website, like they know who the clients are. There's supposed to be like some sort of registry when you meet with them. And so it's supposed to be like a safer way to meet with them, but these women were being murdered all the same. Several of the victims had advertised their services on a website called Zona Divas. They were contacted by clients, they scheduled meetings at hotels, and later they were found dead. In many of these cases, the circumstances were disturbingly similar. One of those women who we're going to talk about today is Kenny Finol, a 26-year-old Venezuelan who moved to Mexico hoping to build a better life and support her family back home. In the months before her death, she had already experienced violence and had received threats from a former partner who allegedly had ties to organized crime. She spent weeks hiding and told people close to her that she was planning to leave the country. So, on February 23rd, 2018, Kenny went out to meet a client. 2 days later, her body was found with signs of extreme violence. Despite public accusations, documented threats, and arrests connected to people in her life, no one has ever been convicted for her murder. Kenny Mireya Finol was born on November 13th, 1992 in Maracaibo, Venezuela, in the state of Zulia. She grew up in Primero de Mayo neighborhood, which was considered a marginalized area. Many of the streets were unpaved and crime was part of daily life. She was the youngest of four siblings, all with different fathers. Her mother, Mireya Finol, raised them as a single parent. Kenny did not grow up with luxuries. In fact, there was more often missing than was available. Money barely covered basic needs, even before Venezuela entered the severe economic crisis that would later devastate the country. But physically, Kenny stood out. She had large green eyes, blonde hair, and very delicate features. In school, she was nicknamed Remolacha, which means beet, because her pale skin would turn bright red in intense Maracaibo heat that sometimes would reach nearly 40 degrees Celsius. As she got older, she began making choices that would pull her into dangerous circles, or this is what people recount. Some people close to her say that the environment around her influenced this. She started drinking at a young age and did not enjoy school, although she did graduate. At just 13 years old, she became friends with an older girl who was living inside a prison. But she wasn't living inside the prison because she was serving a sentence. She was the partner of the prison's pran. A pran is essentially the criminal leader who controls a prison from inside. In Venezuela, that title carries real power. So from that point on, Kenny began socializing and forming relationships with men involved in organized crime. She enjoyed partying, she drank, smoked, and used drugs. In her neighborhood, people talked. There were rumors that she was associated with dangerous men and that she did not fear anything. Friends later said that she seemed to be drawn to intense, turbulent relationships. One of the most significant relationships in her life was Astolfo de Jesus Balsan, the pran of the Sabaneta prison in Maracaibo. He was also linked to a criminal organization known as Tren del Norte, which was associated with extortion, kidnappings, and contract killing. Kenny met Balsan on December 24th, 2010, just 1 month after turning 18. According to people close to her, she was at a nightclub when a group of men took her from the venue and brought her to Sabaneta prison so she could meet him. He was 22 at the time. So this is what I thought was kind of fucked up. Her best friend Daniela Macarena Leal Urdaneta had told her that Balsan wanted to meet her. What happened is that Daniela told the men about Kenny and facilitated the introduction, but the situation itself was coercive. Kenny was taken to the prison and presented to Balsan as a Christmas gift by her friend. Very strange.
What the hell?
But what could have been traumatic turned into something else for her because she ended up falling in love with him. Their relationship began that night. After that, she moved in and out of the prison freely, and this might sound shocking to some people who are not familiar with Venezuelan prison systems, but this is where context matters. In many Venezuelan prisons, especially during that time, facilities operated almost like self-contained communities. Inmates controlled large parts of the prison internally. Their partners could live there. Families visited freely in some cases. Children were raised inside. The Pran system gave criminal leaders enormous power within those walls.
Wait, so the difference was like that the inmates weren't able to leave, but everyone else was able to come and go?
They were kind of the ones that were in charge of everything going on inside. So here it's like the warden, and you've got people that are like in the prison system, like the correction officers that kind of run everything.
Mm-hmm.
And over there, they have like, they let like the people inside the jail kind of run everything. They decide, they say, you're like, you guys have power, make sure everything runs smoothly. So, and what ends up
Is there any
happening
oversight to this, you know?
in in some situations, what ends up happening is that like crime bosses outside of the jail that have a bunch of followers, like, you know, I would say like cartel leaders,
Mm-hmm.
when they go into jail, they're the ones that end up with the power.
Okay. Makes sense.
I very lightly looked around to see if there was kind of like any oversight from wardens, or if somebody checked up on them, or like what happens if something happens.
Mm-hmm.
But like it looks like the Bran system isn't used very much nowadays, so there wasn't a lot of information for me to find. People were saying online that the Bran system is still used in some of the older jails, but like they don't really talk about it. Like it's like they still use that system, but it's like they don't like it. It's like they don't want people to know
But
because it's
everyone knows that it happens?
yes. So it's not like something they advertise and say, "Hey, come to Venezuela. Like we have the Bran system in jails."
Okay.
They wouldn't announce it,
Yeah.
but people say that like the older jails still use this system. The newer ones have the wardens and the corrections officers and stuff like that. But there are still some that exist in the country that still use the Bran system.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this, so I'm just like, I
I
didn't
didn't
know this
either.
was
I
a
thought
thing.
this was so interesting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it would make sense. It's more like an officialized version of what kind of already happens in prisons anyway.
yeah. So, one well known example is Tocoron Prison, which was controlled by the criminal group Tren de Aragua. Reports described it as having amenities like a swimming pool, a zoo with exotic animals, restaurants, a nightclub, sports fields, and even tunnels that allow people to move in and out. It functioned less like a conventional prison and more like a small city under criminal control. That was the kind of system Kenny was navigating. While she was in a relationship with Balsan, he monitored her movements. He controlled her, and she was not the only woman he was seeing at the time. She didn't know this. In March 2014, Kenny experienced a major loss. Balsan was killed during a confrontation with Venezuelan authorities. He had been linked to several crimes, including the murder of two Maracaibo police officers in 2012. After his death, Kenny tattooed his last name on her shoulder. Then in July of 2015, she suffered another devastating blow. Her best friend Daniela Macarena was shot and killed in her home. According to reports, Macarena had been involved with a former prison leader known as El Quique, and his partner Rebecca allegedly discovered an affair between them. On July 24th, the two women reportedly argued. Later that night, Rebecca arrived at Macarena's house with an armed man. When Macarena opened the door, Rebecca allegedly said, "That's her, kill her." The gunman shot her at close range. She was 24 years old.
Oh my God.
Macarena had previously been living inside Savaneta prison, not as an inmate, but as a partner of the criminal leader, like I mentioned before. But when authorities later removed non-inmates from the prison, she moved into her own place. That is where she was ultimately murdered. All of this matters, and I wanted to bring it into context because I wanted to show like what kind of life Kenny was kind of exposed to in Venezuela before she moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
So The prison was eventually dismantled in September of 2023 after authorities carried out a major operation. But reports suggest that similar dynamics still exist, just like I was telling you earlier. They don't advertise it, but a lot of local people say that they still do that here or they still do that there, but
Yeah.
nobody's ever going to admit to it.
Mm-hmm.
Around 2014, Venezuela entered what many consider the worst political and economic crisis in modern history. Inflation spiraled out of control. Food and medicine became scarce. Protests filled the streets and were heavily repressed. Over the next several years, millions of Venezuelans left the country searching stability and opportunity, and Kenny just happened to be one of them. In early 2015, she moved to Mexico City. Officially, she said she was going to work and build a better future, but she also had a very specific vision for her life. She wanted to travel, she wanted designer handbags, branded clothes, a certain level of status. Her friends have said that her role model was actually Paris Hilton, so she imagined a glamorous lifestyle that was completely different from the one that she had grown up with. But can you imagine like growing up where you barely had anything to eat? You like were so familiar with violence, like it's almost like a somebody that's like I just want better for myself, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that these things that she wanted for herself are inherently bad. Who doesn't want to be glamorous? Who doesn't want to be luxury like living a
Yeah.
life of luxury? Like we all kind of want that, you know? To Genny, success meant luxury. It meant having what she never had as a child, and according to people who knew her, she was willing to do whatever it took to achieve that. Not long after arriving in Mexico, her social media began to reflect the transformation. She had cosmetic surgery, including breast augmentation and a fat transfer. She dyed her hair a much lighter blonde. She upgraded her wardrobe. She posted photos of trips to Spain, Colombia, and Panama. She showed expensive perfumes, designer bags, high heels, hotel rooms, gifts. Online, it looked like she was living the dream that she had always wanted. From Mexico, though, she sent money back home to her mother, who was still in Venezuela, struggling through the economic collapse. So while she was chasing luxury, she was still supporting her family back
Mm-hmm.
at home.
Yeah.
At the same time, she maintained ties to Venezuela and traveled back occasionally. In Maracaibo, she had a boyfriend named Mauricio Gudiño, but the lifestyle she was living did not come from a conventional job. From the beginning, her move to Mexico had a plan behind it. She intended to work as an escort. Kenny advertised on several escort websites, but the main platform she used was Zona Divas, which at the time was one of the most well known escort sites in Mexico. Women created profiles with photos, rates, and contact information. Clients would book them for private meetings, often in hotels. Kenny's profile quickly gained attention. Her rates ranged from 2,000 and 5,000 pesos, which made her one of the most expensive escorts on the platform. She was featured in a section called Women in the Showcase, which is why media later referred to her as the most expensive doll in the showcase.
What the hell? I
Another.
know that like this is like something voluntary,
Mm-hmm.
but just the way that this is like objectifying like human beings
Yeah, like the
is,
most expensive doll in the showcase, especially as like a news report after the fact that she died.
yeah.
It was just, to me, it was just very strange. It just goes at like, I feel like escorting is a very legitimate form of work. And it's like, there's still some people with very antiquated worldviews, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm
Like,
not
this just
gonna shame
reflects that.
someone for, like she said, she's working towards the life that she wanted for
Mm-hmm.
herself. So I'm not gonna shame someone for taking those steps for a better and safer future.
Yeah.
Um, what I don't like is the idea of objectifying human beings and treating them as like
Mm-hmm.
an object that you can buy.
Another important detail about Genny is how much of her life she shared publicly. She posted constantly on Instagram. Her main account had tens of thousands of posts. She shared what she bought, what she thought, where she was traveling to, who she was dating. There was very little separation between her private life and her online persona. It just helped garner more clients. Like, that's what that was for. In 2016, she became pregnant by Mauricio. Tragically, the baby died. After that loss, she returned to Mexico and tattooed the letters of M&J with angel wings, which were the initials of her child. People close to her said that losing her baby deeply affected her. Around this time, her drug use reportedly increased, and she became more open about partying and substances in her posts. Mauricio himself was reportedly involved in criminal activity and drug trafficking. He would later be murdered a few years after Kenny's death. While living in Mexico, Kenny stayed in a well-off area of Mexico City, but she frequently traveled to other cities like Cancun, Puebla, Culiacan, Hermosillo, Juarez, and Guadalajara to meet clients. Towards the end of 2016, she attended a party in Tepito. Tepito is an area of Mexico City that has long been associated with organized crime and black market activity. That night, she met Brian Mauricio Miranda Gonzalez, known as El Pozoles or El Minion. Brian came from a family connected to criminal organizations. He was the nephew of Jose Manuel Gonzalez, also nicknamed El Pozoles, who was linked to La Unión Tepito. His father had ties to the Cartel de los Rojos, which operated in parts of Morelos and Guerrero. After joining La Unión Tepito, Brian reportedly rose within the organization. Authorities have linked him to crimes including kidnapping, extortion, sexual exploitation, and homicide. By April of 2017, Kenny and Brian had gone public with their relationship on social media. She met his family, he gave her expensive gifts, she posted romantic captions and love songs, but according to close reports and testimonies, the relationship was violent from the start. Brian demanded that she stop working as an escort, and she refused. For Kenny, financial independence was important, and she also supported family back in Venezuela. She didn't want to have to ask him for money to help her support her family back home.
Yeah.
That was her. Like, I can understand, like, somebody wanting to say, like, I don't want you to work anymore, but it's like you're financially manipulating them. You're financially controlling them. Like, you're taking that, like, source of income away, like, that independence away.
Yeah.
So I like, it's very valid that she felt very upset.
Mm-hmm.
But by September 2017, she ended the relationship. Brian did not take it well. He allegedly felt she belonged to him. He was angry that she left and that she continued working, and he threatened her. Within weeks in October, Brian began dating Karen Eileen, a 24-year-old Argentine escort who also advertised on Zona Divas. Karen and Kenny knew each other, actually. They had been friends. When Karen started dating Brian, Kenny reportedly tried to warn her about his behavior, and in response, Brian forced Karen to monitor Kenny. Then that same month, Kenny was kidnapped.
Wait. Sorry. So, Brian
Mm-hmm.
told his new girlfriend, hey, can you keep tabs on my old girlfriend?
Yes.
And then his new girlfriend was kidnapped?
No.
The old girlfriend.
Mhm.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So what it looks like is that she broke up with him.
Mm-hmm.
He did not take it well. So he started dating, like, probably to bother her, somebody he knew that she knew.
Yeah, somebody close.
Karen Eileen, right? But Kenny said, hey, he's actually not a good guy. And he found out that she had told it, like his new girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was so upset that he was like, start watching her. I need you to keep tabs on her for me. If she's like,
Whoa.
Who is she hanging out with? Where is she going? Like, pretend to be her friend and tell me where she's at, basically.
Yeah.
So it ends up that she gets kidnapped. So this is where, like, like, trigger warning.
Sorry, all of this is like stuff that we learned from people in Kenny's life, correct? Like,
Yes, this is actually stuff that was reported to the media.
okay.
These are like from news reports. Anybody that was interviewed that was around her. There were several news sources that I used for the research for this project, or the research for this notes.
Yeah.
So then, trying to go back. So then that same month, Kenny was kidnapped. According to her own statements and videos later circulated by media outlets, Brian posed as a client on the website and arranged a booking. When he arrived at the location, he and other men were waiting for her. She was taken against her will. She later stated that she was being sexually assaulted, beaten, and tortured. She suffered a fractured arm. She had deep cuts on her head. She had deep cuts on her head and an arm that required multiple stitches. In one of the videos recorded from the hospital bed, she described doctors cleaning her wounds and preparing to stitch her head. There were videos that were taken of her by news outlets after she was found this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She also had injuries inside her mouth after a gun was reportedly forced into it. and she was missing a toe, which she said he had cut off so she would no longer be able to wear high heels, which everyone knew that was something she loved. She had a
Oh
collection.
my god.
Yeah. Eventually, he released her, but he demanded that she remove herself from the escort websites and leave Mexico. He threatened to kill her if she did not comply. For almost 4 months after that, Kenny stayed hidden. She rarely left her home, she did not work, and she was living in fear. During that time, according to the messages later shared, Brian continued sending threats to her. He allegedly sent her photos of other murdered women and told her that she would end up just that way. In one message, he told her he regretted letting her leave alive. Kenny told him that she would leave, but she needed time. Her passport had expired. She needed money to relocate to another country, and she said she was trying to make arrangements, but it also appeared that she continued to silently work through private channels, which reportedly, when he found out, made him even angrier. So it's like I'm sure that she had some clients that she was very close to,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe had regulars, and so they would kind of like message her on the side, and I think he found out that she was working on the side, like
Yeah.
not posting anything online, but it was like more private.
Yeah.
And I mean, he found out. Then on February 23rd, 2018, after months in hiding, she decided to go out. She accepted an invitation from a client to attend an electronic music festival. She told her mother and her friends she was leaving. That was the last time they heard from her. 2 days later, her body was found with signs of extreme violence. So, some news sources reported that her eyes were removed. I want to note that I watched a couple of old videos covering this, and it does change depending on who covered the story. So, there's not like a concrete, like, this did happen online.
Yeah.
So, it's just something that's kind of debated. But when her body was found, it was evident that she had been brutally beaten. She had bruises all over her body, and authorities also determined that she had been tortured and sexually assaulted. Forensic reports documented several identifying features, including her tattoos. One of them read Balsan, although it reportedly was written incorrectly in the forensic report. This woman that they found was also missing a toe. She was wearing pants and a jacket when she was found, but she had no blouse and no underwear. Hours after the discovery, several young women went to the morgue. They were all her friends. The day before they had reported their friend missing, 26-year-old Kenny Finol had stopped answering calls and messages. The last time they had heard from her was February 23rd. After confirming her tattoos and other physical characteristics, they had to face the reality that the body did belong to their friend. From the beginning, her friends and family publicly accused Brian Miranda Gonzalez. However, despite prior threats and documented violence, he has not been formally charged with their femicide. Kenny's case was not isolated. Between early 2017 and mid-2018, several women who advertised on Zona Divas were murdered under strikingly similar circumstances. They were contacted by clients, met them in hotels, and were later found dead. The similarities in timing, location, and method led many journalists and investigators to describe it as a wave of femicides. Most of the victims were Venezuelan, and almost all of them knew each other. Some were even friends. The first widely reported case in this pattern was Wendy Vanesca de Lima Cortez. She was 26 years old and originally from Petare, Caracas, which is considered one of the largest and most densely populated neighborhoods in Latin America. Like many other Venezuelan women during that period, she migrated to Mexico in search of economic opportunity. On Zona Divas, she advertised under the name Monica Valenza. On February 4th, 2017, Wendy was summoned to Hotel Príncipe Escandón in Mexico City. Security cameras recorded her arriving at 6:32 in the evening. She was wearing a white dress and high heels. According to reports, the client had registered under the name Jaime Rodriguez. He arrived about 30 minutes earlier on a motorcycle and paid for the entire night. This way, they wouldn't have any interruptions, because I think at this hotel, you can rent it by the hour.
Okay.
Okay. Around 7:30 that night, about an hour after Wendy arrived, the man left the hotel. Cameras captured him riding away. The next day, when checkout time came and Wendy had not left the room, hotel staff entered. They found her body partially hidden beside the bed. She was nude, face down, with a wound to her head. The forensic report determined that she died from asphyxiation, but also documented that she had been beaten, tortured, and deeply wounded in the chest before her death.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The second victim connected to this pattern was Genesis Julianis Gibson Jaimes, 24-year-old and also Venezuelan. Genesis had been living in Mexico for several years. She had purchased a home in a middle-class neighborhood in Querétaro, where she lived with her 5-year-old daughter, her mother, and her sister. Like many women in this situation, she was supporting an entire household. On Zona Divas, she used the name Latat Cares and frequently traveled between Mexico City and Puebla for work. On November 16, 2017, Genesis drove to Puebla in her Mazda to meet a client. She first checked into Hotel Palmas and called her mother to say she had arrived safely and would speak to her later. The call never came. The next day, her body was found in a room at Hotel Latino in Mexico City. She was on the bed with her ankles tied using her own clothing. She had been bound and gagged with adhesive tape. She had bruises and cuts across her body. One of the most disturbing details reported was that a slur had been carved into her back with a blade. I didn't want to include the slur in here, so I just omitted it.
Yeah.
Her family searched for her nearly a week before identifying her by a tattoo on November 22nd. Authorities later connected the murders of Wendy and Genesis. In March 2018, Mexico City prosecutors linked a 22-year-old man named Daniel Uribe to both crimes. He was tried and sentenced to decades in prison.
Wait, so they found who it was?
Yeah, he was the one that was found to be guilty of both of those murders.
Okay. But you said there were several of these, right? Like, do you feel like it was the same guy?
It was
or
not. I don't think it was.
It was, but it's weird that it was like, it felt a little targeted. That all of these women just so happened to be Venezuelan living in Mexico.
I think there's something a little more going on that goes beyond what was reported.
Yeah.
Like there may be something like speculation. Maybe they knew somebody that wanted them gone. Maybe it was a client. It's hard to report on these sometimes because there's things that are released to the public that we hear.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that are going on between these people and the connections that they have that we're not going to know about.
Yeah.
Unless one of them comes out and says, I was hired to do this because of this, this, and this, or this person was targeted because of this. So there's not really a way to know.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very upsetting. So this one like really surprised me too. Then there was Karen Eileen, 24-year-old and originally from Argentina. As mentioned earlier, Karen began dating Brian in October of 2017. Do you remember her?
Yes.
All right.
She was the one that he asked her to follow Kenny around.
Mm-hmm. Karen advertised under the name Dana Brooke and actively promoted her services on Twitter. On December 27, 2017, at around 5:10 in the evening, Karen posted a photo to social media showing a can of Red Bull, her phone, white roses, and a cup labeled Hotel Villas Patriotismo, indicating she was there in Escandon area of Mexico City. Investigations later determined that after being there, she moved to Pasadena Hotel and Villas, part of the same chain and located a few kilometers away. She entered the hotel around 5:50 in the afternoon with a man. Around 8:30 that night, the man left on a motorcycle. About an hour later, Karen was found in the room with a gunshot to the head.
Oh my God. So motorcycle still.
Yeah.
So do you feel like it may have been like, were there any hints in the sources you read that may have indicated that it was the same guy?
No.
Wow. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to tell you this next part. The reason why I don't think it was that other guy is because I'm about to tell you about this guy.
Okay.
On January 2nd, 2018, authorities arrested actor Axel Arenas in connection with the murder. Prosecutors stated that hotel cameras captured the license plate of his motorcycle and that employees identified him. Media outlets reported that he and Karen may have known each other from an acting school. However, this is what I think is important. Axel denied knowing her and provided evidence that he was in Colombia at the time of the crime. He was later released. It was later reported that Karen, like Kenny, had been threatened by Brian. He allegedly demanded she stop working as an escort and she refused. Kenny told a friend that on the night Karen was murdered, Brian called her and claimed responsibility. He allegedly told Kenny that she would be next. 2 months later is actually when Kenny died. So, which I thought was really, really sad because it's like So this happened to Karen before Kenny even passed away. So, like, to me, this was so surprising because it was like I was going through the case,
Hmm.
and then it was like, then you find out that Karen actually died before Kenny did.
Yeah.
So it's like Brian targeted her because she was closest to him. So it was really sad. And the reason why I don't think it was the guy on the motorcycle, or maybe it was Brian, I really don't know. But it was because it just seemed very suspicious that like the people in the hotel were like, yeah, it was him, it was him, it was that guy Axel. But he had records of him being in Colombia at the time. So
Yeah.
it's almost like people were actually paid off.
Yeah, I looked him up, and basically he was falsely or erroneously arrested by the Fiscalía General de la Justicia de la Ciudad de México over the murder of Karen Eileen.
And I don't want to make speculation. It's like this is because these are actual people and this was so recent and like these people died. It almost, I feel like maybe Brian had something to do with it, like for all of these women. And I,
And all of this was kind of happening
around the same time.
before Kenny's murder.
Some of these did right, yes.
I'm starting to think maybe like it was his way of like trying to scare her.
Maybe. Again, like I said, this case is so interesting because of everything that was going on at the time. These women sort of knew each other. They were working for the same company, and it's like, but again, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like we don't know like why he would do this, who was involved, because we can only get what was reported to media outlets.
Hmm.
We don't know like the actual like the cheese man, like what was actually said between them, or like the reason why. It's like is we only get this information after the fact, and maybe it's better that we don't know because it's like why is this man, or like why are these men so quick to just commit femicide? Like how I guess like in my mind, like killing a person or like killing a woman, I'm just like that's something that I could never imagine.
Yeah.
And it's like there's people running around the world that like actively hurt women.
Like it's
Just
so easy to
like
them.
it's just very easy, and just cuz like it's just very scary, and it's like it we're not women, so it's like we are very privileged in that way that like we can kind of live our lives oblivious to like how probably scared women are some of the time when they're
Yeah.
grocery shopping or out, or like even at their job where like somebody can just go off on them, like a man can just go off on them and hurt them. Because how
Hmm.
many times has that happened recently? It's just I've always acknowledged it and thought about it before, but like this case really made me think, and I'm just like, damn, you really can't do anything without
As a
somebody watching.
woman.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
somebody watching you. It's very upsetting. On April 12th, 2018, another woman was murdered. Her name was Katia Mendoza. She was 28 years old. Katia's story is especially difficult because when she was 12, her father was killed. Her mother had a physical disability and her brother had intellectual disabilities. As a teenager, she felt responsible for the rest of her family that was left behind, which eventually led her into sex work because she felt like she had no other way. She had talked about leaving the industry and trying modeling or other jobs, but circumstances kept pulling her back in. The money was easy. She had clients that she knew, like just stuff like that. It's like breaking into other job sectors when you have a job that like you have a built clientele and you can do well. It's
Hmm.
hard to like not keep coming back. It's like because that money that you make at that job is like stable.
It's like a steady income.
Yes, it's a steady income. Katia was not specifically advertising on Zona Divas, but her murder shared the similarities with the others. The client paid for the entire night at a hotel, but left only hours after entering. According to forensic reports, Katia was tortured for at least an hour. Her fingers were broken, her nails were removed. She was beaten and sexually assaulted. Her throat was cut. Although the official cause of death was asphyxiation, similar to Wendy's case, her body was left partially hidden beside the bed. When she did not come home, her mother found a handwritten note in her room that said Hotel Estadio 16:30, so p.m.
Mm-hmm.
She called the hotel and was told that there had been an incident involving a young woman matching her daughter's description exactly. She went there and confirmed that it was Katia. As these cases gained media attention, Mexican authorities began intensifying investigations into human trafficking networks. Several websites were scrutinized, including Zona Divas. In April of 2018, after learning they were under investigation for potential links to trafficking, the operators of Zona Divas was voluntarily shut down. It has remained closed since then. Today, there's a site under the domain zonadivas.info, but it functions as an informational portal about the femicides rather than an actual escort booking site. Some journalists have reported that the original database may have migrated elsewhere, but that has never been fully confirmed, and I tried to go look to see if I could find it, and I couldn't find another instance of that website being opened again, like
Mm-hmm.
under something else. As for Brian, he was arrested in February 2019 on drug-related charges but was later released. In October 2023, he was arrested again along with Venezuelan woman named Cassandra Rodriguez. Authorities reporting finding drugs, a firearm, and cash at the time of his arrest. He is currently being held at Reclusorio Norte in Mexico City. Investigators have linked him to various crimes including assault, domestic violence, identity-related offenses, trafficking, and exploitation. And yet, despite prior threats, alleged confessions, and documented violence, there have been no formal charges tying him to the murders of Kenny or Karen. Their cases remain unsolved. In September 2024, a documentary series titled El Portal, la historia oculta de Zona Divas was released. In 4 episodes, it examines Kenny's case, the other victims, survivors of trafficking, and includes interviews with the family, friends, and investigative material from court files. The series brought renewed attention, and it made me ask the question, how many of these deaths were connected, and why was it so hard to get justice for some of these women?
Wow. Do you know where we can find this documentary?
On Netflix.
Oh, okay.
You can find it on Netflix.
El Portal.
Yeah.
You said that, right?
Yes, and the English version is...
No, I was looking it up. Sorry. So in Spanish, it's called El Portal, la historia oculta de Zona Divas. And in English, it's Caught in the Web, the murders behind Zona Divas.
So that was super, super interesting.
Wait,
I
have you watched it?
like this case was super, super interesting. I have not.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna put it on our list so we can watch it. Just because like I have so many questions after doing all this research that I'm like, what is going on here? Was it the same guy the whole time? Because it seems like everything that I read in the videos alluded it to it being the same guy, and the people that were caught were actually the fall guys.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of the gist that you kind of get when you're watching a lot of these reports that it was the guy, or they could have discovered something else on the the documentary on Netflix. So we're gonna have to watch to see what was going on. I just felt like when I had this like all this done, we didn't have enough time for us to watch the documentary before we had to record the case. After I found out that there was actual documentary on this,
Yeah. So this was
so
um like a high summer, I don't know what the word is. A summary, like a quick summary about
like
like
what
the
was
stuff that was
yeah,
happening.
like what was going on between 2017 and 2018,
Yeah.
specifically in the escorting world of Mexico City.
Because I'm sure that the documentary is gonna like would provide a lot more like
Context.
context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So my information came from an article in the Miami Herald. It also came from a video called Venezolana hallada muerta en Mexico, así fue un horror final, from Elizabeth M. Great video. Another article from Infobay. Then an article named ¿Quién mató a la muñeca from Univision. And then an article from World Press, Mujeres en la vitrina finalista del Premio Gabo 2019. So, very interesting.
This is all like really sad because these were just people trying to get ahead in life,
Mm-hmm.
leaving a very bad situation in their home countries to find a better future, and their lives are taken from them.
Or they're being taken advantage of, like
Yeah.
exploited.
Yep.
So, I don't know, like there's nothing humorous or funny about like this episode or anything like that, and it's like I hope that I covered it in a the most respectful way that I could.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything for the palate cleanser?
I do have stuff.
Okay, what
Well,
are we
first,
talking
I
about?
wanted to start by asking you if you have been reading anything, any books, any book recommendations.
Um, so let's see.
If not, I have.
I
So,
don't think I have anything just because I've been reading my economics textbook on my off time instead of reading like something literature wise.
yeah.
I'm really excited about reading the book that you got me. How to get rid of a
Oh, let me look it up actually, because I forgot the name of it. So for Valentine's Day, yes,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
for
yeah.
Valentine's Day, I got you a book called How to Lose a Goblin in 10 Days by Jesse Silva. Um, and I got it for you because I feel like you like cozy books, like low stakes, just like a little slice of life type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that from you. You haven't started on it, but
Mm-mm.
that's okay.
But I mean, after this next week, I'm probably gonna start in my free time that I'm gonna have oh so much of after I'm done with this 8 week class. I can definitely get into reading. I started reading the series previously of like the was it coffee and something
Oh, lattes and legends.
lattes and legends, and I read all three books like in the span of a week, and it's I guess I just didn't know that I liked the cozy genre, and so I was really into it.
Sorry, it's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry.
Yeah. And then I read A Magical Witch's Guide to Innkeeping or something like that right after. So it's like the cozy the cozy genre is really something that I've gotten into and I'm like embracing. So this is why Kevin got me this book and I'm super excited to read it.
Yeah. Other than that, I recently just finished reading Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin.
Mhm.
So we read it for our book club,
Right.
but
I didn't go. I had to do
I
homework.
really liked it. I feel like it was one of those books because we've been reading something monthly for our book club every month, obviously monthly. Um, but I feel like this one is one of those books that I felt like I missed like a lot of details where I was like, this is a type of book that you have to read twice to fully
Yeah.
understand. And I'm gonna end up having to read it again, but I enjoyed it the first time and I feel like I'm gonna get a lot more out of it the second. But I definitely recommend it. I don't want to give out like too many details, but essentially it's about an American gentleman that he lives in Paris in the 1950s. And it deals with like sexuality and then understanding what it's like to have like internalized homophobia, things like that. I feel like it was a very good read. It was the first work that I've read by James Baldwin, and I know that he is very well known for his writing and his writing style. So I feel like I really like this. So maybe I'll find something else by him that I really like. Other than that, I've been reading A Song for Adelita by Valerie Gonzalez Street,
Okay.
which was recommended by your
My cousin.
cousin, because that's
Her
her
cousin.
cousin. So Andres's cousin's cousin wrote a book, and
Also a podcaster.
also a podcaster. Um,
Shout out.
Shout out. Do you remember her podcast name?
I don't.
Sorry. But her name is Valerie Gonzalez Street, and the book is called A Song for Adelita. I am a few pages in, and it's horror, but it's set in Mexico, I want to say. Um, it's it's good so far. I feel like I don't want to judge it too early, but I feel like it's good so far. It definitely set the world of, sorry, hold on. I feel like the world building in a book is what kind of like pulls me in, where it's like if a
Mhm.
book doesn't have good world building, I feel like I'm gonna lose interest pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But so far I really like that.
Okay.
I really like it. The
Good.
other book that I want to recommend, it's on my book, um, it's on my list. It's A Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This was actually recommended to us by Travers, our friend of the pod.
Hi, Travers.
Hi, Travers. Um, every time I go to like a bookstore, they're always there, and those books do not look small. Like those books look challenging, and I
And
think it's
then
a
the
series
covers
of
are
them.
always really cool.
Yes, the books, like the covers are. I'm sorry to admit it. I judge a book by its cover. Sorry,
Don't we all?
sorry.
Don't we
Don't we
all?
all? Everyone likes to deny it, but it's like
We do.
we know you do. We know you do. But I am excited to read that because I read the synopsis and I think it has to do with a guy that gets pulled into a intergalactic game, like a game show. I've read very good reviews about it so far, so I'm excited to read it. Another book I want to recommend is one that someone brought up at our book club the other night. It's called Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. This was recommended by Julie, one of our book club members, but she said if I really liked the movie Sinners, this book called Ring Shout is a good recommendation.
Okay.
So, and I really like the movie Sinners. Moving on, there is a new documentary about America's Next Top Model,
Oh
and
my
I'm
god.
really excited to watch it.
When are we watching that?
So my sister Carla, she actually asked me if I watched it, and I have not, but it's called Reality Check Inside America's Next Top Model. But honestly, growing up, that was what I watched. I shouldn't have been watching it. Like
Yeah.
after like I think I was like in middle school when it was coming out or when it was popular, or at least like the seasons that I would watch. So like after school, I would come home and just like I don't know, I would make like a cream cheese taco, eat some bag of chips, and watch America's Next Top Model,
Ooh.
and that was a hit. But looking back at it, it's like, damn, they kind of made them do crazy things like to those
Yeah.
poor girls.
Switch races?
That was
What?
crazy. I've mentioned before, I was like, dude, a lot of the stuff that Tyra got away with is not stuff that you can get away with now. I feel like
No.
people pay more attention to the types of things that like are not socially accepted. And I know that people are going to be like, oh, people are just too sensitive or they're too woke or whatever. And it's like, no, people are just more aware that we shouldn't let crazy things like that just slide. It's
Yeah,
like you
absolutely
can
not.
be and that's not to shame you as a character. Because I know that like if someone points something out, by for example, it feels like being criticized as a whole person. And it's like, no, just that behavior is bad and we should just move on from that. Um, but some of the stuff that Tyra did was crazy, and I think personally, this isn't anything that that some source is saying it. Personally, I feel like the reason why this documentary came out now, I feel, is because a lot of NDAs may be ending soon, and I feel like maybe the people involved in this documentary wanted to get a head start on
What
the
people are going to be
the
saying?
narrative behind
Yeah.
the things that may be
It's
coming
like
out soon.
you can control the narrative if you like. I mean, I'm sure that like the things that came out in that documentary are probably not as bad as what really happened.
That's true. Yeah. I think most of it is also for shock value sometimes. Like what brings attention besides like controversy sometimes.
Right.
So, but I'm excited to watch it. I think we should watch that tonight actually. I don't know.
Oh, maybe so. Let's get some shawarma and then watch this. I'm craving shawarma so bad.
Speaking of the stuff that we've been watching, I feel like we we haven't watched a lot of horror centered stuff.
We haven't.
Which kind of sucks because it's like that was kind of our go-to thing when like we first met and we first started dating. But recently, I feel like as the years go by, it's like
We're too desensitized.
it's not even that. I feel like to me personally, there's just not a lot of good stuff out anymore. Like, and
There have been good movies, but
yes,
we watched them already. We like it's
that's
like
true.
we immediately watched them. I think the last good movie that we were I mean not last good movie, but the last movie we watched that was a horror movie was Good Boy.
Yes.
Remember?
So I
And
was
we
gonna
did
mention that,
not we didn't even finish it.
and it's not that it was bad. It was not bad. But I felt like it was because there wasn't a lot of dialogue. I was kind of lost on what was happening.
Hmm.
So the movie is Good Boy. It involves it centers around a dog that
And the paranormal experience through the dog's eyes. It was very interesting.
yes,
I was like, no, the el perrito
and
the
I
whole
want to
time.
watch it. I really want to finish watching it. But it's one of those that I felt like kind of disinterested halfway through.
I kept looking over and you were on your phone and you were like, what just happened? And I'm like,
Sorry.
mm,
Um, but besides that, I kind of wanted to talk about like horror content in general.
mm-hmm.
I feel like AI has kind of ruined a lot of horror content online. Primarily, the one that I can think of and that I actually shared on Instagram on the podcast is one of like alleged like security camera outside a house of like a witch allegedly on a tree, and that the tree breaks. It was something supposed to be funny, but there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh my god, it's like a real bruja caught on tape and things like that." But it's like this is AI, and I didn't catch that. You actually had to tell me it's like a tree like that would not break like that, and I had to rewatch it, and it was I was devastated.
Yeah, I
I
feel
just fell
like
to my knees.
to agree with you, like I feel kind of bad for a lot of like the ghost channels like Nuke's Top 5, like Bizarre Bub and stuff like that we like to watch because some of the videos are getting really, really good, but they're not real. They're AI.
Yes.
So, and I think which argumentatively argument
Argumentatively.
that word. People have also been saying that the reason why there's so much horror content being pumped out is that they want to keep the real stuff secret to make the real stuff look like AI. Conspiracy.
Get our tinfoil.
Conspiracy.
Cut the cameras. We're getting our tinfoils.
Put the little Hershey's.
imagine,
The little.
imagine it cuts right here, and we're
Yeah.
back with tinfoil.
Did you see Scary Movies coming back?
I did. I
That's
did.
crazy. All I think about is that part in Scary Movie where they're wearing the little tinfoil hats, but it's actually a Hershey's Kiss when he unwraps it and he eats it off the top. Off the top. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
it's it's like they're doing like the whole signs thing,
Yeah.
and it's that part of the movie, and then they're in the house and like the kids and the brother put the little tin foil on top of their head so the aliens can't read their minds.
Yeah.
But the joke is that the priest, or no, I mean like, or the ex, what is it, the father or whatever,
Hmm.
he's behind the brother and they're watching something on TV and he's unwrapping the fucking foil from his head and he takes a little Hershey's Kiss and eats it, and it's on
See,
top of his
I don't
head.
remember that. That's
Ah,
crazy. The
gold,
one that I do remember
gold.
is Cindy, your TV's leaking.
Uh,
Iconic line.
I literally used to tell my coworker that when shit was hitting the fan at work. I'd be like, Cindy, the TV's leaking. And she's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh
There's a
no.
lot of quotable parts of those movie series,
Hell
but a
yeah.
lot of it, I feel like looking back at it now, did not age very
It
well.
did not.
I'm like, oh, this is cringy. So I'm excited about them like going back to it, but I'm also interested to see where the type of humor, because humor and comedy change over years.
Yes, they
The
did.
same way as horror. Horror has changed throughout the years. Like what we socially find acceptable in comedy is not really static. Like it changes over years.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see how that humor has changed and what the producers of the movie will think that the public finds funny now. I hope it's
exactly.
good.
Yeah, I hope it's interesting.
But yeah, going back to like AI ruining horror content, it is sad because it's like you. I remember like staying up late and watching like, real ghost con on tape and things like that. Like most of our cousins have that experience. Like
Mm-hmm.
I should actually ask like every Hispanic person that I know. It's like, hey, did you and your cousins ever stay up till 3 in the morning watching like Ghost Caught on tape? Because I feel like a lot of them would say yes.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that like that's no longer an option anymore because it's like you don't know what is
What's
real or
real or what's
not.
fake? I think like one video that I can think of in particular that really scared me recently, and now I'm like, dude, was that AI? Was that witch video where she keeps opening her window and she sees a witch floating, but she's swimming through the air, and then she shuts the window and then she opens and the witch is like swimming at her in the air.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
bizarre, and that video scared the shit out of me. But
But
I'm
this is
like,
recent?
yeah, this was recent.
Can you find it for me? I'm
Yeah.
interested. I would love to see.
Maybe I'm over here thinking, and it's like maybe it was just AI the whole time, and I'm like, why did I think that this was real to begin with? It was just genuinely unsettling, and I'm like, this was probably AI, and I got scared of AI. They tricked me, they got me.
They tricked me. See, that's also the thing. Like when you fall for it, you kind of feel like, oh, that wasn't even like real. Like you kind of feel embarrassed about it. Whereas like before, when you actually like find something like quote unquote real as scary, like on camera, it's like, oh, it's scary because it was real. Whereas like,
Yeah.
but now it's like, oh, that wasn't real. Why was I even scared?
It almost feels like to me where it's like do you remember how people for a long time were arguing that too many movies were using CGI instead of using practical effects because practical effects sometimes are scary?
Yeah,
Like literally real life is turning into that, and they're like, "Ah, man, why don't we use practical effects in real life that we used to in the old scary videos instead of using AI because AI is not even believable anymore."
yep,
You know what
that's
I'm
true.
saying? It's like,
I think eventually we will turn back to that.
yeah.
Because I feel like for CGI in movies, it happened. It eventually like stopped being so well received because it just started looking trashy.
Well, and then another person made like a really good point that it's like when you have huge studios that create these movies
Hmm.
and then they tell people, well, we don't like this scene. We need you to redo this scene and we have to have it ready in 3 days. That causes a lot of the CGI scenes that are already filmed to be really bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the turnaround time that people are put to put these like scenes together. That's why because the argument was, why does this CGI look so good on this, but like it looks so bad on this? And it's like, well, look at the reshoot schedule for these.
Hmm.
Look at the production time on these, and it's like sometimes those really bad deadlines is what is the detriment to the movie that makes these scenes look really bad. So that's also something to think about.
That's true. I
The
forgot what I
point
was
is,
going.
money is evil.
Evil.
Money is evil.
I mean, I think what I always say, bullying works. Look at what we did with Sonic. I think the first trailer that came out, or like the first sneak peek of what like the Sonic movie live action was gonna look like, so many people complained about it, saying like, "Oh, the CGI looks very bad," and
It was Sonic the Animal, actually.
eventually people complained so much that they had to redesign it. And it's like
Yeah.
if people put more pressure onto these people, saying like movie producers, and say like, "I'm not gonna watch this if you put like trashy AI stuff," like I think the public have a lot more power to sway
Or
things,
Sway.
especially
Yeah.
when it comes to entertainment.
Right.
So,
Okay. Well, I think that's enough hooting and hollering and yapping for this episode.
okay, so thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Get Spooky Podcast. Also, email us any story suggestions or your own scary stories for us to eventually share on a Chikisode, on a listener stories episode at getspookypodcast@gmail.com. Special thanks to Taylor Turner for the artwork, Kyle Fields for the intro music, and Leonardo for the logo redesign. And don't forget to tell someone you love how much they mean to you.
Sorry that I smiled really loud. That was weird.
Really loud.
Yeah, I made a noise when I smiled just now. That grossed me out. Bye.
Okay, bye.